has died, and there are numerous questions surrounding her death that need to be answered and need to be answered now. The terrible case of Serenity's abuse and subsequent death is indicative of a problematic investigation involving the RCMP. So to the Solicitor General, everyone is accountable here. Will you ask the RCMP on behalf of the people of Alberta to perform an inquiry into the perceived botched investigation into Serenity's death? And if not, why not?
Deputy Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and to the member for the question. I'm aware that the member has been a member of the armed forces as well, and the RCMP certainly do have an important, city police, and the RCMP, in partnership with other law enforcement agencies, have a very important role to play in this. And my understanding that the RCMP is investigating this case, and questions that have been raised are the questions that are being raised by the public as well as by the minister to make sure that Serenity, her family, and all children in the system have justice, Mr. Speaker.
Everything needs to be public in this situation, Mr. Speaker. The Medical Examiner's Office also falls under the authority of the Solicitor General. There are a lot of perceived concerns with the procedures of that office. I believe the Solicitor General should be asking, where did the autopsy report go off the rails? So again to the Minister, will you launch a public inquiry into the procedures of the Medical Examiner's Office to determine where it failed Serenity, so it does not fail other children, and if not, why not?
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. And just to reiterate that the RCMP requested that the OCME not release its findings, as publications of the tragic death materials could have a detrimental impact on the ongoing investigation, Mr. Speaker, and that investigation is still ongoing. The medical examiner has remained in constant contact with the RCMP as the investigation has continued, and we do absolutely want to ensure and work to ensure, and now all parties in this House can work to ensure that we absolutely make sure that everyone gets justice in this case, Mr. Speaker, because this is something that rests on all of our shoulders, and we all feel trapped.
Thank you, Deputy Premier. The second supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. The entire system failed Serenity and her mother, possibly due to their lower socioeconomic status, and this is unacceptable. It is wrong to treat people differently because of their perceived status, and this is what I have been fighting against for years. So to the Minister, will you and your government initiate a public inquiry into the circumstances surrounding Serenity's death? And if you don't, will you resign so Alberta can have somebody who cares take that necessary action?
Deputy Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And the poverty of children is something that we've been working to address every day in this House, Mr. Speaker, and that's why we move forward on bringing forward the Alberta Child Benefit, as well as working with the Federal Child Benefit to make sure that families get the supports that they need to be able to stay strong and resilient and together, Mr. Speaker, whenever it's safe for children. That, of course, is our ultimate goal. And that's why we are working on both sides around addressing the system changes once children are in the system, but also keeping families strong and resilient and together, Mr. Speaker. And I'm proud to be a part of a government that's standing up for families, Mr. Speaker.